think you're all, I think, or at least I hope in my career, at the very least, um, that the skills will always be required. The core skills will always be required. Probably the evolution is the application of those skills. So if you think about 30 years ago, somebody who was good with a scale rule and a set of drawings was very effective. In a world where drawn information became digital, the application of those skills was no longer needed, but the skills themselves sort of transcended and transitioned. And I think where I see, if I look at what I'm doing at the moment, the skill is in curating the library, the skill is in curating the process flows for preparing a good quality valuation. And I think that's where what problem are you asking the GPT to solve? Because ultimately the GPT prompt engineering's getting better, and you maybe don't have to be as precise as you used to be, and it will read between the lines a little bit. But if you're not defining the problem that you want it to solve, then probably the answer you get won't sort of solve the problem. So I think the QS is still the QS skills are still going to be needed, but I think the way that you apply them in curating libraries, process flows, setting the right prompts, asking the right questions, I think that's where people with those skills now need to start think about upskilling themselves, because if not, they will become the people with a scale rule, waiting for the drawings to come through and what's this laptop with the drawing information on. And the reason we need that skill is, a QS it's a strange profession in many ways, because we kind of, if we were sat if we were sort of in the middle circle, we kind of we intersect with so many other professions, but we're not that profession. So whether it's finance or legal or engineering or project management or planning, so we are estimating. So we have to intersect with all those different professions, and the structure of the data that we get from those people, whether it's drawn information or finance information or contract information, we normally use the structure of information that's given to us by, that core profession. And then we sit in the middle of it and try and make it all, all make sense from a evaluation perspective or in presenting issues. So, so that sort of agent coordination, I suppose, it's sort of, similar to what we've always done, but just in a different environment, I guess. And that's going to be a challenge for people. I guess it's you receive information and you receive instructions. So in its simplest form, somebody asks you to do something, and here's some documents. And then this is what we want at the end of that. And the process flow is the process of taking that instruction and delivering the output. And the process flow will depend upon the quality of the output required, sometimes how quick it needs to be done. Some of the judgments for us is based on the information we have. A lot of the time it's incomplete. So the process flow would define what you do with that, what assumptions and what judgments you make. So that for me is the process flow. You get something and you need to deliver something, and what's the bit in the middle? Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I guess, we often talk about the uniqueness of construction projects, in the sense of they're generally one-off projects. They are generally a different, set of designers on different schemes. So there's slightly different standards. Different clients have different expectations about what they want. And I guess that's where the human, as you say, makes judgments about, oh, I don't have this, I have this. I know I've got to get this end result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this assumption. I'm going to plug that gap. I'm going to do, I don't think I dare say irreplaceable, but very difficult to standardize and get a machine to follow. And as you say, make those autonomous judgments and deliver an output that's equal to what a human would do, because the client, and you'll have, ask questions of the GPT and you get it back and you go, that's way off what I asked you. That's so far away from what I asked. And that's from a client experience perspective. That's what clients would do. They give, that's just not what I know I didn't specifically ask. I know I wasn't clear about what I asked you for, but that's not what I wanted. we can probably name a few from our prior experience who do operate like that.
Yeah.
But the majority of people want, as part of a human, is to sort of that search of improvement.
Yeah.
Um, but it comes down to skills, and it comes back to skills and education really, and not necessarily access to it, because you could self-learn, you could, there's various things you can do. There's then time to do it. That's probably the hardest thing. I mean, I'm running my own company. I can dedicate time to it without anybody, standing over me saying, "What are you doing? And why aren't you, delivering whatever? Why are you messing about with that computer?"
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of people probably, in an industry that's time poor,
Mm.
how do you generate the time to make the improvement in your own skills to unlock
Mm.
the potential? So I think that's always going to be the biggest barrier. Yeah, and businesses, I guess. Some businesses, right? I want AI. What do you want it for? What do you want to achieve? I don't know. I just want it because everybody else does, and I want it to be more productive. And all right, well, there's many different tools, there's many different options. Oh no, it's all getting a bit too complicated now. It's probably one of the worst things about the industry is the expectation to, work long hours, and not just working long hours, performing productive and value add work. A lot of it's down to inefficiency of others. You've received really poor information, you're having to fix it up. Yeah, it's a bit chicken and egg, really. It, and it, won't go down the mental health route, but that's a serious issue as well in the industry. So I think that will always be the challenge, and those that find a way to create the time and invest the time without disrupting business operations are the ones that are going, a good success. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure who they are. If I look around at the
I,
bigger companies,
yeah.
well, your child might not be successful in the world of work if that's or as successful. So a child that is using these tools and understands these tools is not, you would place a bet is going to go further than someone that doesn't in the next generation. So I think as a father, if your child isn't sort of work ready by understanding these things, then they're going to find it hard to succeed in life. I feel it's going to be that, it will literally be like using a computer,
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago. If a child entered the world of work and couldn't use a computer, that hampered their progress. But,
Mm.
the child that went in and could use a computer and could do the basics,